I have the pleasure of introducing our moderator for tonight. His name is Tim Johnson. He's the founder and president of the TJC Group, a 29-year-old firm specializing in public affairs, community outreach, governmental and regulatory affairs. Tim and his wife reside right outside of Baton Rouge in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. They've had 3 children. He's a big LSU fan, and I'd like you all to help me welcome Mr. Tim Johnson.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Always a pleasure to be in St. Charles Parish. A lot of friends and folks that I've worked with over the years in the audience, and I think we're going to have a good night tonight. This Parish President's Forum is sponsored by the River Region Chamber of Commerce and Destrehan Plantation. And to begin, I'd like to introduce our candidates, and we'll do that in alphabetical order. Mr. Larry Cochran, Ms. Rionda Fields-Pierre, and Mr. Matt Jewell. Thank you all for being here and for participating. The rules are pretty simple. We're going to give each candidate 3 minutes for an opening statement. Then we will ask them a series of questions that were submitted by members of the chamber. They'll have 2 minutes each to respond to each question, and we'll do that in a rotating order. And then we'll give them a 3-minute closing statement. Scott Burton, board member and of Cox Media, is going to be our timekeeper tonight, so you guys pay attention to Scott. He'll give you the C sign when you've got 30 seconds left, and at the end of your time, he'll hold up the red cardboard so you'll know you're done. And then I will politely move on to the next question. One of the things we'd like to ask is, so that we can keep this moving and keep this on time, is first of all, silence your cell phones. And then let's keep the reactions to the candidates and their answers at a minimum. We'd like to avoid applause between questions and answers. We'd like to avoid reactions to specific answers that the candidates may give, so that we can keep moving. Fair enough? All right. Well, let's get started there. Oh, by the way, also under rules that were set up here, no recording of any kind, if you don't mind. We've got the folks that were hired to do that specifically, and we'd ask that you don't do that yourself. All right, so we're going to start with Mr. Cochran, and we'll ask all 3 of the candidates to answer this first question. Are we ready? Without being critical of any opponent, what? Oh, I'm sorry, your opening statement. My bad. Your opening statement, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber for organizing this event. Thank you to the businesses and industry for your investment in our parish. Thank you to the people of St. Charles for letting me serve as your parish president for the last 4 years. These last 4 years, the people of our parish have seen great progress and commitment. I'm proud of the work that we have done together to create a better quality of life for our residents. After years of planning, we finally began construction on the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levee. Over 18,000 feet of levee has been constructed, and more is on the way. We have made significant investments in infrastructure. Over 132,000 feet of streets and roads have been resurfaced. We've invested millions of dollars into improving our drainage system by taking a comprehensive approach and not a Band-Aid approach. $12.3 million has been spent on wastewater improvements. $2.1 million is spent on waterworks improvements. We've taken our fight to the nation's capital on NFIP and flood insurance reform. And we've taken steps here locally that will reduce the cost of flood insurance for our residents. Working with our River Region parish neighbors, we secured federal funding for $760 million West Shore Lake Pontchartrain levee. And by working with our state and federal partners, we've been able to receive $27 million in grant funding for our parish. Dollars we would not have received without working with officials of all parties. And that's the approach that I have taken as parish president. I have been elected to represent all of the people, no matter their race, background, or party affiliation. I've enjoyed working relationships and building coalitions with governors, congressmen, senators, and legislators of all parties, because that is the best way that I can serve and deliver results for all our residents. We have accomplished so much and there is still more to do. Experience matters when it comes to managing a $160 million budget, leading nearly 500 employees and getting projects off the ground. I want to continue to deliver results for you and create a better quality of life for the residents of St. Charles Parish, and I'm looking forward to sharing my vision for the next 4 years in this forum.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Ms. Fields-Pierre?
Thank you so much. Good evening. And again, thank you, River Parish Chamber of Commerce, for inviting us all to speak with you tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rionda Fields-Pierre. I'm a lifelong resident of St. Charles Parish. My mom is from Ama, my grandparents, and I love where I live. I'm a graduate of Loyola University in New Orleans, where I majored in sociology and mass communications. Straight from that, I was the community relations director and strategic planner for the Aaron Brooks Family Foundation, where I helped him with the Waldo Burton Boys Homes, New Orleans Public Libraries, and New Orleans Public Schools. I was the former outreach specialist for St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning. While being a part of the executive team comprised of the directors of Planning and Zoning, Economic Development, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority, Workforce Development, stakeholders, business owners in the community, RPC, we were able to present a revitalization plan that was unanimously adopted by all council members in 2014. Using that plan and model, we created a nonprofit organization that was going to monitor and facilitate the implementation of that plan. Through the partnerships of that executive team, Monsanto or Bayer donated $1 million for land improvements for a linear park along Paul Mallet Road. We work with administration, and like Mr. Cochran mentioned, the parish committed $9 million towards culverts and sidewalks along Paul Mallet Road. What I learned from working with the Paul Mallet revitalization is that what we were able to do in Luling, working together with all branches of government, we can do on both sides of the river and in each community in St. Charles Parish. I've been a recreation basketball coach, and I'm also a licensed realtor. Though this may be my first public office, I'm not new to politics. I met with council members expressing the needs of the community, and this past October, they allotted $150,000 for a community center in Paul Mallet Road. This shows that you don't have to be a politician to get things done. We just have to be willing to work together. This project works on transportation, infrastructure, economic development, housing, land use, a lot of the things that a parish president would be responsible for. I'm committed to learning and understanding that in each department and surrounding myself with the best people possible to support me in this endeavor. I ask that you would consider me as your next parish president, because I do believe that together we can make a difference.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. Mr. Jewell?
Hello, my name is Matthew Jewell, and I'm running to be your next parish president. I was born and raised in Luling, Louisiana. I'm a 10th generation St. Charles Parish resident. I'm a graduate of Hahnville High School and Nicholls State University, where I got a degree in business and a minor in government. My wife Sarah and I have a son named Aiden. My wife's from Bayou Gauche, and we are high school sweethearts. I currently work for Congressman Steve Scalise as his district director, where I oversee the operations of the 1st Congressional District. I work as a liaison to elected officials and parish presidents and work to get government to deliver different benefits from FEMA, commerce issues, fishery issues, infrastructure issues to those parishes. I help them navigate the federal government, and I help them navigate the state government as well. Before working for Congressman Scalise as his district director, I worked at the Department of Energy in the Trump administration under Secretary Rick Perry, where I worked on energy issues that are vital to not only the nation's economy, but are the backbone of St. Charles Parish's economy. My experience in building coalitions has shown me that by working with federal, state, and local officials, we can truly get results on big things like completing our 100-year flood protection, fixing the real issues that cause our drainage problems, and improving our infrastructure to spur economic development. I've been going door to door on my campaign and talking with residents, earning their votes. And the common theme that people are telling me is that they're ready for a change. I look forward to answering your questions tonight, and I hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess we're ready for the questions now. Don't let me forget the closing statements, all right? Here's question number one, and we'll start with Mr. Carter. Without being critical of any opponent, why do you believe you are best suited to be parish president?
Sorry, I didn't.
So without being critical of any other opponent, why do you believe you're the best candidate to be parish president?
I think the biggest attribute to me being parish president for another 4 years is that I served 8 years as a parish councilman, 4 years as the president. We have a lot more to do. We've gotten a lot done on the flooding issues. The levees were paramount coming in for our administration. We just recently seen completion of 7.5 feet from Davis Diversion all the way to Sunset Levee. That has been done in 4 years. The next 4 years, I truly hope to work with our federal partners to bring 100-year flood protection to the West Bank as we've done on the East Bank. And as we move forward on the East Bank, we just got $760 million to continue on West Shore project, which is going to deliver the entire East Bank flood protection. We still have a lot more to do, and I truly feel that my administration has done a great job moving this parish forward. We've been fiscally responsible, and we're moving the parish in the right direction, finally.
Thank you. Ms. Fields-Pierre, same question. Why do you believe you are best suited to be parish president?
Thank you so much. The reason why I believe that I am best suited to be parish president is because I have been hands on the ground. I am working with local organizations, and I have been for more than 20 years. I have volunteered in my community long before I decided to run for office. I was going door to door, meeting with my neighbors. I was at the nursing home sitting with elders. I was working with youth to listen to them to see what programs and what things were needed in our parish that have not been fulfilled. I think what you would hear from each one of us is that the things that are working in our parish will continue to move forward. I think levies will always be a priority regardless of who you elect as your next parish president. And I will ensure that they remain a priority. However, what I bring to the table is a fresh voice, a different perspective, and my ability to listen to each person that I'm working with, to inspire the leaders that's around me. I have successfully partnered with workforce and worked with housing and worked with planning and zoning and members of the community. And my ability to work with them and inspire them to be the best at who they can be, I think is what's important about being a president. It's not necessarily leading from the top down, but understanding that we all can do our part, and together we can continue to move this parish forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jewell, same question. Without being critical of any of your opponents, why are you best suited to be parish president?
Look, I'm the only opponent who's truly built relationships at the federal, state, and local level. I have a track record of getting things done for other parishes with working with Congressman Scalise. I have the experience with important issues regarding energy, regarding the industry, and I have a proactive sense of urgency in mind to go out and get things done. And I think that's one of the most important things you can do as a leader, is be proactive, to be always engaging with constituents and looking for the issues that need to be completed. As your next parish president, if elected, I will always work to stay connected with the people. I will hold town hall meetings to make sure that everyone has access to me, and make sure that we're always being proactive to get things done. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, this next one we'll start with you, Ms. Fields-Pierre, and I'm going to take a moderator's privilege here because this question is going to take a little longer. I'm going to ask that we give them each 3 minutes on this specific question. And here it is. What do you believe are the 3 most pressing issues facing St. Charles Parish? And tell us briefly how you will attempt to address them as parish president.
That is a great question. The day that I qualified, actually the next day on Friday, I decided to call the council members, those who were previously in position and those who were currently running. And that was my exact question. One, what was the most pressing issue facing your district? Because I wanted to know from them, if they're a representative of their district, what they felt was most important. And then the next question I asked them, what was the 3 most important things that you believe are facing our parish? And how can we work together to implement that? So what I heard over and over and over was levies, national flood insurance reform, and then also the third one was about jobs and job creation. We have a lot of expansion in our parish, in industry, yet a lot of residents feel that we need to do more to hire local and to train our local workforce to fulfill the jobs of the industry. So working with workforce and working with the school system, at the Economic Development Council meeting this past week, Superintendent Ken Ortland came and he talked about making St. Charles Parish work-ready, a certifiable work-ready program. And that's bringing together economic development, bringing together workforce, and then tracking our students who would be ready to go into the workforce when they graduate. So I think that the 3 most important issues facing our parish would, of course, be levee protection. Because without securing, our levees and finishing the 100-year flood plan, then we're all at risk. Once we connect our levees and complete that project, then our insurance rates are going to go down. And as a realtor, we already know that we don't want to pay high insurance rates. But if we're not in a flood zone, then I would encourage everybody to get flood insurance because a lot of our parish is surrounded by water. And then 3, job creation, making sure that we educate our workforce, educate our students, and then connect them with industry to prepare them.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Mr. Jewell, same question. 3 most pressing issues. How do you intend to address them?
Well, I'll start with flood protection number 1. The West Bank is very vulnerable, especially in Desalmans. We need to move expeditiously to get that project completed. I actually spoke with Colonel Murphy yesterday. Colonel Murphy is in charge of New Orleans District for the Corps of Engineers. He's been on the job for 2 months now, took over for Colonel Clancy. He has not been briefed on the St. Charles Parish projects. And that, to me, is a travesty. So the first thing I would do in regards to flood protection is I'd go straight to Colonel Murphy, sit down and talk with him about St. Charles Parish's needs, making sure that he knows how important this project is to us. We also have parishes around us who are building levees for 25 cents on the dollar. Terrebonne has done it, and it's brought the cost-benefit analysis of these projects way down, and the Corps of Engineers and the federal government are more interested in these projects and likely to fund them. We got to make sure we get the Lafourche Parish levee that connects to the floodgate in Desalmans completed. That's a $500 million contract. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe it's a federally authorized project at the moment, which means it would be a candidate for the HUD money that's coming in to the state. But the state's going to be getting $1.2 billion from HUD. That would make it eligible. If it is a federally authorized project, then we would be able to work with the state to make sure they move money around in the state's budget. That way we can go in and tackle that flood protection issue. It's the most vital issue. Second is drainage. We need to work on conveying water to our pump stations better. I know there's some real issues in Norco and with servitudes and of canals all over the parish. We need to expand some of these canals, and how we do that, maybe it's putting sheet piling, maybe it's concreting, but we have to increase the flow to the pump stations so that we're really moving water. Ormond, we have culverts underneath Ormond Boulevard that are very old, and they're moving water that they were never intended to move. They were designed for a population in a neighborhood that was much smaller than what they currently have. So drainage is my number 2, and then infrastructure. I mean, infrastructure is a pretty all-encompassing term. So drainage infrastructure, roads, we have 213 miles of roads that are constantly needing to be maintained. So working on get grant funding, going aggressively getting grant funding We have a grants writer who's leaving, so that's a concerning issue for me. So making sure we have a grants writer who's writing grants, going at them aggressively, going after state money aggressively, going after federal money aggressively. We can't always go to the citizens and ask them for more money because we already have a high tax rate. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Cochran, 3 most pressing issues, how you intend to address them.
Thank you. Continued flood protection. As Mr. Jewell just stated, the new colonel's been on the job for 2 months. We're building our own levee. We're building it to core standards. So we don't necessarily go up there and ask for permission to continue building our levee because we'd have never got it built. We took it upon ourselves to get this levee built. And moving forward, we have a meeting with the colonel to brief him on all the good work that we've done in St. Charles Parish. The other thing is economic development. We need to get more rooftops in this parish. And the only way to do that is have controlled growth. We have to take big considerations to our infrastructure moving forward. Our sewage. We're working on our sewage right now. We just got word that we're getting a loan for $9 million, low interest loan, to put a pond on the north side of 3127, which is going to help us develop the property between River Road that borders I-310 to Hornville and 3127. So we have a lot of great things going on, but my 3 things right now would be flood protection, as I said, economic development, and some controlled growth to bring housing back, get more housing stock in this parish.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. All right, we'll start with Mr. Jewell for this next question, and we'll go back for 2 minutes. I define economic development as investment, job creation, economic growth. What are 2 specific things you might do as parish president to accelerate economic development in St. Charles Parish?
Well, first of all, I continue to go back to infrastructure. If we don't have the infrastructure to support new businesses, we can't have new businesses come. I actually spoke with someone who wanted to build a duplex, and he was denied because they said the sewage system couldn't handle it. So if the sewage system can't handle a duplex, then we need to seriously look at what's going on and make sure that we have the infrastructure to support. After that, once you have that infrastructure in place, you can go out and engage those businesses, recruit them to come to St. Charles Parish. But another issue is that we need some workforce development. I'd like to work with the United Way, work with the Votech College and Reserve, and really work with industry to create curriculum that supports the businesses and industries in St. Charles Parish. We did this at Nichols State University, where I was at, with the Maritime Marine program, at no cost to the university, and had the industry create the curriculum. 100% success rate, 100% graduation rate, and all of those kids got jobs in the marine industry because the marine industry had a stake. So if our industry has a stake in the game, we can help train these folks and get them into good jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran, you'll be next. 2 specific things that you might do for economic development.
We've been working very hard on economic development. We've created 650 permanent jobs and thousands of construction jobs through the plants with their expansions, and encouraging the use of the ITEP formula for the taxes on the plants. The other thing we're looking at is through recreation, doing different things with our recreation fields, encouraging the travel ball, encouraging more people to come into the parish and use the local restaurants, the local hotels, and grow it through that mechanism. Right now, until we get more rooftops in this parish, we're going to rely on the plants. And we have to get affordable housing in St. Charles Parish. And that's what we've been working towards for the last 4 years with infrastructure to support that.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Fields-Pierre, 2 specific things you would do to accelerate economic development in St. Charles Parish.
First, I would, 1, work with the chamber. We need to talk to our businesses and find out the things that we need. One thing that I had discussed with Annette before is a small business development center. We do not have a small business development center in St. Charles Parish. At Loyola University, they have one. I know when I started my business, I had no idea where to go. So I went to planning and zoning. I went to, economic development. I had to go to the school board office to get sales tax. But if we don't have a one-stop shop that can walk an aspiring entrepreneur through the process and then hold their hand in some cases to provide them the technical assistance that they need in the support services, I think that we're going to see a lot of turnover and continue to see a lot of turnover in startup businesses in St. Charles Parish. Each month, the Economic Development Department tracks how many new businesses we have coming into St. Charles Parish and then how many businesses close year to date. And the turnover is disappointing. So I think we need to work with the chamber, finding a way to put you guys locally in our parish, and then offering a small business development center. That's number one. Number two is working with Penelope with a technical college. They are opening now a technical college in St. Charles Parish. We talked about it a long time ago. We tried to get it on the corridor, and now they're coming. So I think that we can work with the technical college, again with economic development, and working to partner our students with the companies and the businesses that need those services.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. Next question, Mr. Cochran, we'll start with you on this one. We talked about economic development. Let's talk a little bit about the business climate in St. Charles Parish. What are your specific thoughts on the changes to the industrial tax exemption program, ITEP? And what are your specific thoughts on these, quote, legacy lawsuits against the oil and gas industry?
The ITEP, I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in St. Charles Parish. I know the governor made a tough decision some years back to put the tax back into local hands. And we've been doing a great job between the school board, the sheriff's office and the parish, and the council. Our council's played a vital role with ITEP. And it's working, it's alive. We just approved something last Monday a week ago for W.R. Grace. And it's working very, very well. What was the second part of the question?
The legacy lawsuits, your thoughts
The
on
legacy lawsuits
against the oil and gas industry?
I don't see us going after the legacy lawsuits at all. It just has no benefit for St. Charles Parish.
Good, thank you. All right, Ms. Fields-Pierre.
The industrial tax exemption program, I think, is wonderful that 20% of the assessed value of industry is going to come on our tax roll and allow the public to have input in how we can allocate those funds. So I'm definitely in favor for the new changes for the ITEP program because it puts more money in our pocket and allow us to be able to allocate those funds, whether it's reductions or putting it towards programs. And with regards to the legacy contracts, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm not familiar with it, and I won't speak on anything that I don't have 100% knowledge of.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. Mr. Jewell, same question. ITEP changes and legacy lawsuits, basically the business climate in St. Charles Parish.
Yeah, I think that the ITEP is a good program because I would support anything that takes power from the state and puts it in the hand of local municipalities. You're better represented at the local level. So I always support policy that does that. LED, the Louisiana Economic Development Board was a rubber stamp for those guys. So now the power is truly in the hands of the local representatives. I've met with Tab, our assessor, on this issue, and under the new ITEP rules, you no longer get 100% tax exemption. You can only get 80% tax exemption. That extra 20% coming on the rolls is going to be huge for St. Charles Parish. A lot of influx of new money. I want to lead the way to lower our millage rate, and I've spoken with Tab, and I think we can do that without seeing any reduction in services, any reduction in revenue that's coming in. So I hope to lead the way with the ITEP in the future. In regards to the legacy lawsuits, I think they're outrageous. We're suing companies that don't even exist anymore. It's created a terrible business climate for Louisiana. energy companies do not want to invest in Louisiana because of it. So we gave out permits in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s to companies. They went in and did everything right. You know, they did everything what they were supposed to do at the time. We look back now and say, oh, you shouldn't have done that retrospectively, and now we're going to sue you. So I don't think it's a good policy. If we want oil companies and energy companies to take care of the environment, and we should make sure that's a policy that we have in place now, and we should always stay away from these legacy lawsuits. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. The next question, we'll start with you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. We've talked about growth. How would you manage the continued growth in the parish? I'm talking about residential, commercial, infrastructure, drainage, traffic. Big picture, how do you manage growth?
I think that we have to prepare for long term. So a couple years back, we did a St. Charles Comprehensive Plan 2030, and it looked at the potential growth in St. Charles Parish, and I think by 2030, they only expect roughly 3,000 new households to be added. So not a large number, but something that we do need to consider. So I think first, we need to look at education. See everything that's out there, know where we're going to expand and where we're going to grow. Then look at infrastructure. Look at the drainage that we have. Look at how we're managing that drainage, and then work with Public Works, wastewater, and then planning and zoning next to properly plan for growth. So we need to know where we're going to expand. Instead of new companies or new developments going first to planning and zoning and buying land and then going to the commission to get it approved to do developments, I think we need to be proactive and sit down and look at where in our parish we can grow, where the infrastructure supports growth, and then work to locate those new companies or housing development in those areas. We also need to look at our schools, safety, work with our school system and our sheriff's department in providing for what's coming next.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. Mr. Jewell, same question. How do you manage growth going forward?
Well, we need smart growth, and one of the things is if we're gonna, we want people to live in St. Charles Parish. It's a great parish, and I've talked to people who live outside of St. Charles Parish, and they're very jealous of our low crime rate and our great education system that we have, and they do want to come here. So one of the things is if we're going to build a new subdivision, we need to make sure, A, that the drainage can handle it. We should be checking off these boxes. Is it going to affect drainage in a negative way? Is it going to affect, can our infrastructure support it? Is it going to affect traffic in a negative way? Is it going to affect our education in a negative way? So looking at those things, and then looking at a land use study, making sure our land use study is up to date, and that we're not spot zoning. Spot zoning is one of the worst things that we can do. I don't know why we spend money on land use studies if we're not going to follow them. So following a land use study is key, and then making sure our planning and zoning laws, our planning and zoning rules are up to date, and making sure we're working, with other parishes to see what their best practices are, what's working, what's not working, and collaborate.
Thank you. Mr. Cocker, same question. Managing growth.
As we've seen in the last 4 years, our infrastructure has gone unattended for quite some time. So we've been working very, very hard with Public Works and our sewer department and our water department to bring those three key components for any kind of expansion up to where it needs to be. Sewer being the top. Sewer's been neglected, and we've addressed it these last 4 years, and the next 4 years we'll address it as well, to accommodate any type of expansion, any type. And we need to prepare because it's coming. It is coming, but we need to control it. We as a parish need to control our expansions. We have a unique community. We're rural, but we're city. We're right in between. We can go anywhere out of our lawns, out of our parish boundaries, and do anything we want. But I want to bring them things back to this parish. And the only way we're going to do it is with more houses. And we're going to have to accommodate that. And we work these last 4 years to get there. The next 4 years are going to be critical to accommodate a 30,000 house neighborhood. And we have a lot of interest right now in development. So we're working toward those goals to incorporate those developments. Our planning and zoning department's done a great job. We just moved them into a new facility, and they're doing everything they need to do. What's that mean?
30 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're doing everything they need to do to enhance the development and to work with the contractors, to encourage the contractors to come here and work. So we still have a little bit to do infrastructure-wise, but we're at a point right now to start building homes as soon as we have the developers that develop them.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Jewell, you'll be first on this next question. A lot of talk about levees and flooding and flood insurance. What specific action would you take as parish president to ensure residents are protected?
Well, the first thing is, we have to continue building our levees and make sure we're going, and making sure we're going at an expeditious pace to the ultimate goal, which is to meet the upper barometric risk reduction at 100-year flood protection level to where we lower people's flood insurance rates. NFIP is a huge issue as well. I've worked with Congressman Scalise on this issue in his office. I'm confident that in the next 2 weeks we'll pass, at least the House will pass a 5-year reauthorization. And now it's going to be up to the Senate to get that done. Things work a little bit different in the Senate. I would go straight to the Senate and meet with our senators to make sure they have our best interests in mind and make sure they're on the stick when it comes to this NFIP, because this is important. It's important to St. Charles Parish, but it's also important to other communities throughout the United States that aren't coastal communities. So working with those senators, those delegations as well, and then doing the same thing when it comes to flood protection, working with our delegation, working with CPRA, and making sure that they're always hearing our voice, that we are, bothering them to the point where they're aggravated hearing from us, because we want them to always be thinking, I don't want another call from Matt, we better get on this thing. So.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran, you're next. Flood protection, flood insurance, specifically your approach.
Flood protection, I think the people of the parish saw it during Hurricane Barry. We pulled out all the stops. We were able to close that levee from end to end to provide 7.5 feet. NFIP, that's been 12 years we've been fighting this. St. Charles Parish was ground zero. In my office, I think I have the keys to every house in Des Allemands and Bayou Gauche from what happened back then at Hornville High School. I'm very proud to say our council has been working very, very hard through NACO to make sure that it's not just a 1-year fix, what we've been seeing. Every year, a 1-year fix. We are working toward a 5-year fix. Hopefully the federal government can see the importance of that and pass this important legislation. So moving forward, it's going to be hurricane protection and NFIP, and to keep working to get these insurance rates down.
Thank you. Ms. Fields-Pierre, specifically flood insurance, flood protection.
I think it's been said. I think that is our main focus of our administration, is to continue to do the work that has been done. Our grants department has been working with the Coastal Protection Restoration Authority and has secured funding for our levees and then also for future projects. So I want to make sure that we provide support to the staff that we have and in the departments that we have to make sure that everything is moving forward, and then go where we need to be. If it's in DC meeting with our congressional leaders, then we're going to do just that. So I do agree with Matt, and that we will be the voice of the South that says, you know what, when you see me coming, then you know why. And that's because we need to make sure that we pass national insurance reform.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Mr. Cochran, we'll start with you. And this is a little bit different question. What is your vision for recycling in the parish?
That's a tough one. That's a very tough one. We've been struggling with it since the day we walked through the doors. Hurricane Katrina, we had curbside recycling. That all went away with that great storm. So we've been doing curbside recycling, and we've been struggling with it. It is something that we do have a lot of residents that want to recycle, but we have a lot that don't want it curbside. And as we've moved along, we've asked residents if they would support curbside recycling. Overwhelmingly, they've said no.
So we're going to continue doing what we're doing to provide it because it's a very, very important part. And if people would recycle, they would see we save tipping fees at the landfill. So it could pay for itself if we could just get the people to buy into it. You know, we've been doing educational stuff in the schools, and we're going to continue to do so because I would love to see curbside recycling come back to our parish one day.
Thank you. Ms. Fields-Pierre, recycling.
Curbside. I remember being in the school where they did teach that. And I remember, well, that's my answer. Curbside recycling and making sure that we educate.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jewell.
In the short term, I think it's the fix in the short term is doubling the capacity at the East and West Bank Bridge Parks. You have those dumpsters are constantly full. People leave stuff on the ground next to it. So let's just go ahead right now and just double the amount of dumpsters that we have right there. That way people aren't leaving stuff on the ground. And then, you know, my opponent said that, you know, people don't want it. I'd have to look at that myself. I talk to people all over the parish who do want it, but, you know, I don't know if that's the consensus. And then the one big question is there a company that will do it? And what does that cost? And, you know, will the people opt in? So long term, we can look at what, you know, is there a company willing to do it? And, but the short term, I think we can just expand the amount of capacity we have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I think this next one we'll start with you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. What is your position on consolidation of the fire departments in the parish?
I think that we need neighborhood fire departments so we can minimize response times. I've worked with several residents who lost their homes due to fire in South Fashion, in Mimosa, and St. Anthony. And it's a devastating loss. And I do believe that some of that loss could have been prevented if we had more fire stations in communities, and then also paid fire staff, fire department staff.
Thank you. Mr. Jewell?
Well, this is an interesting topic, and it's a topic that's a hot topic, no pun intended, for our parish. I think the key thing is we don't want to be too hasty when we do it. We need to really look and study the issue, see what the effects are going to be. Is it going to, you know, are the resources going to be better if we consolidate the departments? You know, you'll save some money on insurance and insuring your equipment, your fire trucks and your stations if you can go under one insurance policy. So I'd like to look and I'd like to work with the firefighters, work with the chiefs, and see what we can do. The ultimate goal is to increase or lower response times, and then improve our fire protection insurance rating, get it as low as possible, and lower that fire insurance rating. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran?
This is something I know nothing about. Being fire chief for 25 years and 31 years in the fire service in St. Charles Parish, I can assure you our local fire departments are doing a great job. They truly are. A lot of them are spending their money to pay people during the day. We have good response times. We truly do. We have great ratings. If you look at the ratings from 1 to 10, I think the worst rating in the parish is a 4, 10 being the worst. We support our volunteers very, very well with our taxes. They get a 1/8 cent sales tax, split 9 ways, and it's based on a house count, and then they do a millage that's equal across the board. That was very important 20 years ago to bring the smaller departments up. Moving forward, it's going to be up to the fire departments, the chiefs, the people that are out there doing it. I don't think it's indicative of government to say you need to consolidate. It's got to come from the guys that are out there doing it for free. Because believe me, I've done it many times. My son is doing it now. You get up, you go to work, you come home, you're getting ready to eat dinner, then you're off to a fire. Sometimes you don't return until it's time to go to work the next day. So how can I sit as parish president and say you're going to do this and do that when they're delivering a service to their neighbors out of the kindness of their heart? We have a very, very well-trained fire department. That I can assure you in this parish. I'm very proud of every firefighter we have because of what they give back to our parish. So to say if we need it, it's not my decision, it's the fire department's decision.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Okay, this next question will start with Mr. Jewell, and this will be the final question before our closing statements. Mr. Jewell, if elected, what quality of life issues would you focus on for St. Charles Parish?
I think recreation is a big quality of life issue in St. Charles Parish. I'd like to work with our recreation director on non-traditional activities for kids who don't fall into the baseball, soccer, and football categories, and then work on new programs to meet the needs of seniors. We have an aging population, so seniors need activities as well to do within recreation. And then work to make sure that special needs kids also have activities that they are allowed to do. I think when you look at it, recreation is the kind of the main quality of life issue because it really brings families together. So I really want to focus on those issues.
Thank you. Mr. Cochran, next.
Quality of life is a very important issue to me. We have focused a lot of our attention to the stuff that needed to be done, the infrastructure, the levees. The next 4 years is going to be such an emphasis on quality of life through recreation. Our seniors probably enjoy more than most seniors across the state in recreational activities. We have a great recreational department and they need to be supported with better fields, more money toward our fields to have the things we need for our kids can go out and do what they want to do out there in the fields. We need longer football seasons, baseball seasons where the kids in baseball, when they're getting out of school, the season's ended. So we need to look at different ways to extend their seasons to keep them busy during the summer. Another quality of life issue is we need restaurants. We need different things of that magnitude for our residents don't have to go to Jefferson Parish, to LaPlace to eat. And that's what I'm going to focus my energies on in the next 4 years. The other stuff, we have done a great job. That's going to continue to move forward. And the quality of life are very, very important issues to me in the next 4 years.
Thank you. Ms. Fields-Pierre, quality of life issues.
That's wonderful. I get to wrap it up. And pretty much, it's been covered. That's my heart. We live in St. Charles Parish because of the great schools, the low crime. However, like Mr. Cochran said, we have to go out of St. Charles Parish to go to the movies or go out to eat. We need to be able to bring some of those restaurants here, to bring bowling alleys back here, skating rinks back here, activities for families to do and engage in. A youth center or a youth activity center has been my heart's desire since I graduated, and I've met with administration after administration to provide a place where youth can go after school and in the summer months, to provide them preventative programs, financial literacy, etiquette, entrepreneurship training, to start working with them at a young age because we know that delinquency occurs during those hours that they get off from school and before their parents come home from work. So working with the school system to make sure that we are able to transport those kids to the activity centers. Yes, we do have a great recreations department. I've been a part of recreation department since I was a child playing t-ball until I graduated. I work with the rec department. However, they close at 4:30. A lot of times when I'm coaching, it's hard to find a gym. We have a relationship with the school system that allows us to use their gyms, but we need to extend those hours. We need centers inside of communities where kids can go and places where families can gather and be able to bridge that gap between the seniors and the youth through education and opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. All right, we'll move to our closing statements, and we'll do that in reverse order. We'll start with you, Mr. Jewell.
Well, I've been closing all my my talks with folks with just a pledge. I pledge to serve with honor and integrity. I pledge to empower our parish employees and invest in them. I pledge to be a proactive leader and show up for you every single day of the week. I pledge to work to deliver services more efficiently. And I pledge to be transparent. I want to see and deliver a government that has a customer service sense and attitude when working with our residents. I humbly ask for your support in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. Fields-Pierre.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight. I think what differentiates me from other candidates is that I have been on the ground. I have been working in the community, and I have been listening. I've been a servant of this parish because this is my home and it's the place that I love. And I give credit to the team that I've worked with. When I win, it's not a win for me, it's a win for us, because I've listened and I've heard. And I will continue to listen to all of the concerns of the citizens of this parish and make sure that our concerns are brought to the forefront. It's not going to be every 4 years we come to the community to get a vote. We're committed to doing what we say that we're going to do and making change in every single community, whether it's Ormond, Norco, St. Rose, or Luling. It doesn't matter where you live. We all have to be a part of St. Charles Parish. We are one community, and we have the same interest at heart, and that's to make our parish great and continue to move forward in the progress that we've made. So I will continue to fight for every citizen, and I humbly ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields-Pierre. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you. Thank you again to the Chamber for organizing this event. Thank you again to business and industry for your investment in our parish. And thank you again to the people of St. Charles Parish for letting me serve you as your parish president for the last 4 years. We have constructed 18,000 feet of levee on our West Bank. We now have 7.5 feet of levee on the West Bank from end to end, Davis Diversion to Sunset Levee. By continuing to invest in working with our federal and state partners, we must and will get to 100-year flood protection. We're going to be making serious investments in our pumping capacity and our drainage system so that we're able to flood fight by using the latest technology and the best to protect our residents and their property. Parks and Recreation is going to be one of my top priorities in the next 4 years. We have done a great job, but there's more that we can do. We are going to attract economic development investment by improving and constructing recreation and sports facilities that will benefit residents and attract families from across the United States to our great facilities. We will focus on continuing building better roads with a great emphasis to increasing wastewater capacity to encourage residential development and improving our waterworks facilities. We will do all of that while continuing to be good stewards of your tax dollars. I have devoted more than half of my life to serving the people of St. Charles Parish. First as a volunteer fireman, second as a fire chief, a parish councilman, and now as your parish president. Helping people is in my heart and my soul. I am asking you to put your faith in me once again by allowing me to continue to serve you, the people. Together we have accomplished so much, but there is still so much to do. I humbly ask for your support, your vote on October 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. What we want to do now is we'll wrap this up. We want to give the candidates a few minutes to be here and mingle with you. I think we have a 7:30 finishing time, so you'll have a few minutes maybe to visit with the candidates if they can hang around. Let's give a round of applause to the team, also to the rest of the team, and specifically for these three great candidates in St. Charles Parish. Let's give them a round of applause as well. A couple of important things to note. Early voting is September 28th through October 5th. Election Day is October 12th. Thanks again to these candidates. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your focus on St. Charles Parish. Good night.